Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of AZ Update. I'm your host, Anthony Bartolo, and joined as always by my co-host, Sarah. Sarah, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks, Anthony. How you doing?
Good. Man, busy week this week. We've been heads down. I don't know if you've heard the announcement of our upcoming event, ITOps Talk. ITOps Talks, all things hybrid. The team has been heads down doing a lot of work around production, working with product managers and engineers within Microsoft to get content all around all things hybrid. For those of you who are not aware, hybrid is the construct of having architecture that supports both on-premises implementations as well as cloud, mutually beneficial to your organization to use both spaces. Sarah, how's your week been? I'm assuming it's just as busy, right?
Yeah, I feel like all I've been doing is either creating videos or editing them or adding descriptions to videos. So yeah, it's been a hectic week trying to manage everything and make sure I put the right description in the right video.
So let's talk a little bit about this event, right? So we mentioned about it last week, and we're able to share more details. And you know, our boss has been very strict in terms of what we can actually share out in terms of content. And so we're now able to talk about the whole format of the event. The big thing that we've heard from our audience is the need for change in the midst of everything that's going on right now with the pandemic. And our audience has told us that, you know, while it's awesome that you're sharing all this fantastic content, having everything in a live stream may not work for viewing times for a lot of people. And so the challenges are, you know, people want to have the ability to watch on their leisure. And to do so, we've done something different, right? We've done something where we're actually recording the videos and we're going to share all the videos out on February the 2nd simultaneously so that, you know, everybody will have the ability to watch the videos at their time. This is huge, right? Because now you can pick and choose which sessions you want to watch. You don't have to wait for a specific time to sit in on a session. I've even heard that there's viewing parties occurring around the world. A lot of the MVP community and the technical communities around the world have reached out and said, hey, would it be possible to have the opportunity to do, you know, a watch session with our community? Of course, you know, the opportunity is there. Sarah, what have you heard about the event thus far?
I think a lot of people are interested to see the format because, like you said, it's a change from the normal format that we're seeing with online events. So I think everyone's slightly intrigued to see how it works and see how we manage to pull it off. I think that's the vibe I'm getting. So fingers crossed we can manage to pull it all together.
I hope you probably agree with me in regards to how much work there is to put this event together. It's been crazy. But what I've been loving the most is just the interaction that we've had with everyone in regards to the event we're putting together. The crossword puzzle that we had out on social media, that was huge in terms of the amount of discussion and people discussing what the answers were to the crossword puzzle. And there was a deliberate mistake inside of the crossword puzzle were 2 extra boxes. I had to create that in ANSI code, so that was a hard thing to do. I
Excuses.
I miscounted 2 of the boxes, but that's the thing, you know. Our audience is, you know, a bunch of people that like to solve problems, and you know, people recreated the crossword puzzle in Excel, in Word, because it was ANSI code, which was really cool that they were doing that. And still figured it out, and it was so awesome to see that. We are planning to have another puzzle happen next week, just as a teaser. So there will be another puzzle that will be coming out, and it will be important that you have the answers from the crossword puzzle to solve the next puzzle. And that will provide more clues as to what's going on with this event, because we haven't even announced everything yet. You know, we're still tip of the iceberg in terms of what we've actually shared out. Sarah, did you want to quickly go through a couple of the sessions that you're actually working on?
Yeah, so I've been working on a session around Windows Virtual Desktop. So one of my colleagues in the Global Black Belt team has kindly spent some time recording a session about Windows Virtual Desktop and how he's been interacting with our customers around using it within the pandemic to help a lot of people actually solve the whole working from home challenge that we're all facing. And he's also shared some roadmap features. He's snuck a sneak peek one in there at the end of the session. So pretty cool to see where the future is and just hear what his thoughts are. So I really enjoyed recording the session. So hopefully it comes across to the audience and they really enjoy it as well.
Yeah, the
What
Windows
have you
virtual.
been doing?
Oh, I've been crazy busy too. I've had the opportunity to sit down with Sarah Young, and she's our senior PM of all things security here at Microsoft. She and I had this great conversation around how Azure Security Center can help govern over your on-premises and cloud implementation simultaneously in a hybrid setup, and the ability to understand where the threats lie in regards to your organization, what needs to be addressed, and how to address them. And then we actually did another session on the same premise of a hybrid implementation with Azure Sentinel. So now with Azure Security Center, you have hey, these are the deficiencies that you have in your infrastructure that you need to address, and the steps to address them. Azure Sentinel now provides that intelligent reporting in terms of how the attacks are actually occurring, and the reporting, the remediation that can occur using runbooks in terms of an automated sequence, if your organization allows for it, to address these concerns. And in both scenarios, what was awesome was the focus is on the data. It's not on the architecture itself, right down to even your SQL implementation. Both solutions, Azure Security Center and Azure Sentinel, which can run and work in collaboration as well, have the ability to understand the data that it's looking through, regardless if the data resides on premises or in cloud. The example we actually shared was SQL injection hack, which again, when the hacker does this injection, it doesn't matter where they inject the code into. And so both solutions have that ability to understand what the possibility is for attack. And again, regardless of on premises or in cloud, know how to address it. That's one of the demos that we actually share in the session itself. So we're very excited to get that out there. And Sarah is so passionate about security and the enablement of security on behalf of organizations, and she has such a vast background in it. It's so awesome to have that opportunity to capture that and to have that made available as a resource.
I hear, though, that you had some fun recording Sarah's session and you had a special guest try and gate crash.
So Sarah has a beautiful dog named Grayson, and he tried to get into the video a couple times, so it was very funny. I definitely got to do a blooper reel on that. Did you have anything funny in your session?
We tried to demo something that you couldn't actually demo because the whole purpose of it. So one of the features on the roadmap coming with Windows Virtual Desktop is the stopping people being able to share their Windows Virtual Desktop screen. So we tried to demo that and could not figure out, very technical people could not figure out for 10 minutes why we could not show this in the demo and why it wasn't working, until that little light bulb went off and we're like, yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to do. So we can't show the live demo and we talk about that. So yeah, that was a bit of a, how many IT people does it take to make something work?
And that's the thing, right? The beauty of what happens behind the scenes is, we're all human. We're all trying to enable others, and we come across, these issues and mistakes that we do. I'm hoping that we do put together a blooper reel, because I've heard a lot of funny stories of everything being recorded. The big thing too, in terms of the content that we're launching, is that they're all going to be made available, like you said, on February 2nd. It's all going to be launched at one shot, but they're also going to be included into blog posts. So there's going to be blog posts with further description in terms of what's being shared out on the video. Links will be in the video, but links will also be in the blog post, and they'll be on ITOps Talks, ITOpsTalk.com. If you want to follow specifically for the content itself, it would be aka.ms/ITOps Talks. That was set up by our colleague Sonia Cuff, so that you can actually follow along and see the full repository of all the sessions that'll be made available on the 2nd. Rick's 2 posts are there right now, introducing the event and talking about the agenda for the event. I'm hearing there's going to be one more post coming up, and it's going to be the finale in terms of everything that's going to be made available, because we haven't even talked about the big announcement yet, which we're not going to share yet. We're going to keep you in suspense, but there will be another puzzle coming out that you'll want to check out that will provide you a little bit more detail. But I'm excited. Like, this is something where it's something new. A lot of the virtual events that we've seen right now, like I said, is in this long live stream, and then the content is made available 2 weeks after. All the content in this instance is going to be made available right away. The amount of teams within Microsoft that are looking at this and going, wow, this is crazy. It's simple, but it's something where we know this is going to be big for the audience to gain access to that information immediately. What have you been hearing in the halls of Microsoft around the event?
I think a lot of people are interested, like I said, to see if the format works, because
Yeah.
we're going away from that normal kind of
Right.
conference event. There's no agenda. You can just watch the content at your leisure as such, and then there's going to be chat afterwards. So yeah, I think a lot of people are interested to see if the format works, and whether people buy into this different format. So yeah, big shout out to everybody to tune in, check out what we're doing. Let us know if you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, tell us so that we can iterate and do something different and take on board all of that feedback. So yeah, I think that's where we want the audience to participate, right? We want them to get involved, tell us what they like, tell us what they don't like. You know, we're definitely up for criticism, constructive criticism, to help make things better. Because I think, unfortunately, the way things look, virtual events are going to be still a big chunk of 2021, right? So the audience have to tell us what we want. It's all very good us doing what we think the audience wants, but the audience has to definitely integrate with us and help us and guide us what they want. And I think that's true for every user group event organizer or conference organizer. I think there's a lot of conferences I would normally go to physically starting to turn their attention to what they're doing this year, whether they're doing online. So everyone's trying to just keep the momentum going, keep the community going, and do it in a way that's all good for everybody, you know, from speakers to the community organisers and the audience. So yeah, participate and let people know the feedback. I think that's kind of the key message as well, that everybody's trying to balance.
And communication is important, right? It's the one thing for me I miss, you know, being at Ignite in Orlando, being on Ignite the tour, the ability to talk to all of you in terms of, you know, what challenges you're facing, what ideas you have that you want to, you know, flush out and provide more availability. Producer Pierre just flashed it on the bottom of the screen. We have the Discord server. It's actually up right now for you to join, and go, if you go to aka.ms/ITOps Talks dash Discord, you can go in there now and start having conversations with everybody. All the sessions that will be shared are already listed in their own rooms, that you can actually go in and start asking questions already. And there's actually conversations that are occurring already. And this was important for us because, I don't know about you, Sarah, but I really missed those hallway conversations. I really missed learning from everybody in terms of what ideas they have and what they wanted to share in terms of the problems they were facing, the services they were trying to adopt. We created this specifically, and hats off to producer Pierre for doing this. We created this specifically to have that open-ended conversation with everybody around the content. So it's not just, here's the content, digest it, and away you go. It's provide us that feedback, provide us those questions. What are you're being challenged with in regards to what you're trying to accomplish? Because there is going to be a Q&A after the content has been launched. More details will be forthcoming on that later on. And this will provide us the opportunity to answer your questions, and we'll be answering your questions in real time on Discord as well. So it's not just going to be, you know, something where we have a Q&A plugged up later. It's going to be having the ability to answer questions in the Discord from us and from engineers at Microsoft as well that are already locked in and participating in those questions. So do check out the server as well to start having those type of conversations. Sarah, should we get started with the news?
Yes, let's do some news.
Let's do some news today. So first up is Azure Defender for IoT architecture. I've been saying for the last little while is IoT is the new on-premises implementation that you have to take into consideration, right? We talk about hybrid networks. We talk about hybrid infrastructure, you know, servers on-prem 100%. But now we also have to take into consideration these IoT devices, especially in the pandemic that we're experiencing right now and everybody working from home. These IoT sensors are even more important in regards to the information that they capture on the outside world and how everything is functioning. And so having the ability to govern over these devices is huge from the security perspective, because remember, these are in the outside world, these are on premises, and they're funneling the information back to either your data center on premises or into the cloud. And you want to make sure that it's all secure and the information is secure and nothing is being tampered with or being hacked on the endpoint, especially now with these IoT devices gaining intelligence as we do computing on the edge, is what we call that whole ability to have the IoT devices create rudimentary calculations on the data that they're ingesting. So that whole availability of security now comes into play. The biggest announcement in terms of this architecture is the ability to have either an agentless or an agent-based security mechanism for these devices. So in an agentless scenario, you have the information flowing through, which is monitored by Azure Defender. And so the information is being siphoned through in terms of, is the valid information coming from this device actually what it's supposed to be coming from this device? Or has code been injected to do something malicious amidst our organization? And then in an agent-based scenario, you have the ability to push out an agent to certain few devices, which the list is growing as we speak, to have the agent running right on the device itself so that the intrusion detection or malicious intent detection happens at the edge. This then ties into your whole ability for Azure Sentinel to provide that reporting in terms of the attacks that are occurring and what should be the next steps, or if you're using runbooks, what are the next steps that will be actioned to ensure that these devices are not being tampered with and malicious code is not being funneled in or information is being siphoned out. Thoughts, Sarah? I know IoT is a big passion for me. It's the team looks at me like, you're the odd kid that always talks about IoT for IT pros. I have to say, though, this is something like of huge importance, especially if IT professionals are responsible for the security posture of a lot of organizations.
Yeah, because you're right. If someone, say in the developer team, goes off and spins up some IoT device, maybe forgets about the security piece, it's often the operations person that has to fill in that hole, right? And figure out the security. So as much as I don't understand IT the same way that you do, Anthony, I love the fact that we have products that help us guide along there. If you don't really necessarily know about the IoT side of things, something like Defender can help you with that. And a lot of the Azure Security Center and Sentinel PCs have built-in kind of templates and stuff. So you don't have to learn it all from scratch. You can kind of feel your way around and figure stuff out.
Well, the big benefit to this is, while it's IoT, it's still an endpoint that you're protecting and securing, right? So at the end of the day, it's not for the IT professional to understand, if they don't want to, what's going on that device. But you are responsible for the security posture of the architecture that occurs that transfer that information to your central computing, whether it be in cloud or on premises. So that whole availability of Azure Defender to have that capability to invoke those type of security pieces, that's of great importance for IT pros to know. And so it's a huge benefit to look at this type of scenario and solution as a plug and play type of capability to put your best foot forward in terms of security protocols for on behalf of the organization you support.
Yep, indeed.
Next up, Sarah.
Yes, so I am talking about the Azure Disk Backup, which is a limited preview that the team have released. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet because it's a limited preview and they're keeping it for customers. But looking at what the guys have said about it, it's an agentless backup that backs up the disk part within your virtual machine. So it can deal with the managed disk or the shared disk. And it takes that snapshot. So if you have something that needs to be snapshotted and backed up throughout the day, but you don't want to install an agent because of the overhead that might cause on your actual VM, or even security posture, your security team might not want another agent, might be wary of that. What this preview feature does, is actually just back up the disk, so you can take it without having any interrupt or overhead on the virtual machine. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. Like I said, it's a limited preview that the team have released. So check out our blog post where you can sign up for the limited preview. They're asking customers to sign in. If you get access to the limited preview, the team have asked that you participate within that kind of limited preview and give them some feedback, give them some requirements, help them build this product feature. So it's not just something you should be signing up for and then not using. It should be something that you think will benefit your organization and you can help build that product. And then you can have the kudos for saying that if something you suggested is built into it, then you've got an Azure product feature in there. So yeah, definitely check out the kind of use cases around that, what it does, and see if you can sign up for the limited preview and be part of that and help build the future of Azure as well. So yeah, looks pretty cool. I'm going to see if I can sneak a limited preview section myself. I'm going to have to speak to the backup team to give it a try. But yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. Again, it's one of those news announcements that might not seem quite, interesting, the big fireworks or whatever, but it's an integral piece of actually your whole architecture and how you deal with the security, the backup, all that kind of stuff when you have virtual machines within your environment. So definitely read up, keep up to date, and see if you can use it within your environment.
I think it's huge in the fact that how it takes a snapshot of your environment without impeding in your access of data or compute cycles is a huge deal, right? And so this is something, definitely check it out in preview if you can, but do provide that feedback, and that's important, right? We want to make sure that we're on the right track in terms of the services that we create. And so your feedback is crucial to ensure that what's being created meets the needs of almost everybody, right? You're not going to hit everybody in regards to the solution, but if we can put our best foot forward based on the feedback provided, it's of great importance to us to ensure that we're honing in on what services we're creating specifically to meet everybody's needs.
Yep, absolutely.
So one other piece of news to talk about before we jump into events really quickly. This is another IoT one, and I apologize for doing another IoT one, but this one is a really cool one. It was literally announced last night, so I wanted to make sure I was able to put it in there. So a little bit crazy on this one, the ability to run a Linux container inside of Windows on an IoT device on the edge. So we're talking a small IoT device running Windows that also has a Linux container running on top of it. Some instances, some applications require Linux. Now, why would you do this, right? Why would you have this functionality? We're talking about Azure Defender having the ability to govern over these devices in regards for security posture, either through an agentless or agent-based functionality. There are some instances that require the agent to be on the device itself due to regulations required for the organization, whatever organization that may be. In those type scenarios, if your code must run in Linux, now you have the ability to have this Linux container running on top of Windows on side of an IoT device, have the agent made available for Azure Defender on the IoT devices as well, but also have the ability to not only monitor the Linux instance or Linux container on the IoT device on Windows, but also have the ability to pass through data from Linux to Windows back out to your gateway, right? So it's the whole now, the availability of you don't have to convert your code to be running on Windows native on an IoT device. You can have it running on a Linux container on a Windows device. The information will pass through, and having an agent on the device to ensure protection of the device, passing up right to Linux to ensure the security flows is intact and your posture is intact based on your ISO requirements. It's a lot, I know, to go through. It's currently in preview, so do check that out if you're looking. And I bring this up only because the coolness factor of now this Linux container running on top of Windows, which we've done before, and we've done that on desktop, where we're talking about doing this on an IoT device. This is not a full-blown desktop device. This is for computing on the edge and ingestion on the edge of this data. Sarah, thoughts?
Sarah just dropped off. I am not quite sure what happened.
I was wondering. I was like, what's going on? What do you think, Pierre? What do you think about the whole Linux container on Windows on IoT?
I think it's great. Oh, there she is.
Oh, she's back.
My browser crashed.
Oh.
It was like Anthony was like, "Hey, well, Sarah, what do you think?"
Sarah, what do you think?
Dead air. Yeah, no, I'm. This is just another example of it doesn't matter where or what your code is and what it needs to run on. It basically can be your software running on our platform anywhere, regardless what requirements there are, whether it's Linux, whether it's container, whether it's in the cloud, on-prem. Like, it just becomes, everything else becomes commodity. Is just about your solution running.
So we got 6 minutes left on the show. Want to say a quick shout out to those on the stream. Thank you, producer Pierre, for your insight there. We got Reese McDonald, Paul Jensen. We have Andrew McCullum. We have Stephen Inns. We have Jared Shockley, otherwise known as Producer Steve. And thank you all for the lovely conversations going on in the chat. The Discord server was also shared out in the chat by Producer Pierre. So, you know, if you want to join the conversation, you can do so already. It's available in the chat room, also available on the video itself. Thank you, Pierre, for putting it up on the video. Really quickly, in terms of events, of course, there is the ITOps Talks event that's coming up. Again, that's coming up on February the 2nd. Look for Rick's next post coming out next week to provide even more details and surprises as to what's going to be happening at the event itself. Also this week or today, Patch and Switch have another episode. So they have, you know, Patch and Switch. If you go to twitch.tv/Patch and Switch, they'll have some more discussion around the ITOps Talks events and other funny things that happen and funny news that happens in terms of beer talk and everything else. Should we do beer talk? Nah, let them have beer
they
talk.
think it's funny.
Oh, jeez. We don't need to make enemies of the producer, Pierre, but c'est la vie, right, at this point. Last but not least, because we've got 4 minutes left, the Microsoft Learn module of the week. I tied this into your story, Sarah, in regards to monitoring backup of Azure resources with the announcement now of the preview of backing up of managed disks. This is part of the AZ-104 certification. So if you're looking to achieve your AZ-104 certification, this is specifically around the monitoring backup of Azure resources. It is a complete learning path. As you can see, there are 7 modules here that you can complete. This will assist you in achieving your 104. It won't guarantee you, and that's the one thing I want to make sure that everybody's aware. This doesn't guarantee you that achievement of passing that course. There is a great document on Learn that we can share out later on that provides you all the things that you need to know for the certification. But this is a tremendous resource, a free resource that's available for you to go through and work towards that achievement of certification.
Yep, definitely a resource worth checking out if you're studying for exams.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I learn hands-on. A lot of the modules are hands-on, and it provides you that ability to test out theories and really go through the paces to do your certification for AZ-104.
Awesome.
Busy show today. Sarah, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can find me on Twitter at TechieLass, or you'll find me sharing my content that I've been filming and stuff on ITOpsTalk.com as well.
And if you want to get a hold of producer Pierre, he too can be found on Twitter at WiredConnect and sharing on ITOpsTalk.com as well. And if you want to get a hold of me for some reason, same, it's at Wireless Life, also producing content on ITOpsTalk.com. Sarah, we're in for another busy week next week, but we will be back next Friday. Everyone, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, that didn't work.
We're still live.
Well, I know we're still live, but the bumper didn't work. So goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.